All right. Good morning, everyone. Before I take your questions, I want to take a moment to make a very important announcement about to further the Renaissance in Park Heights. A great deal of time, resources, and planning have been devoted to getting us here today. Revitalization and broad urban redevelopment must be thoughtful, insightful, and well executed. The residents of Park Heights shared a common desire to rebuild their community, to improve the quality of their life, and to increase economic opportunity. 3 years were spent working with the city and other stakeholders to create a revitalization strategy. The Park Heights Master Plan, realized in 2006, which outlines a comprehensive blueprint for positive change for the broader community. It's 1,200 acres in 12 neighborhoods and commercial districts. The plan continues to guide the decisions that we make today about land use, recreation, transportation, and social and economic opportunity. Since the master plan was approved, over $2 million have been invested in Park Heights, including close to 200, I'm sorry, what did I say, 2 million? Sorry. 200 million have been invested in Park Heights, including close to 180 million during my administration alone. This investment has allowed us to acquire over 80% of the properties in the major redevelopment area, making it possible for new developments such as the completion of Phase 1 of Vertkin Fields, which is a part of a 7-acre park. We shut down the the notorious ranch in order to develop Renaissance Gardens, offering affordable housing for low-income seniors. The Tawanda Community Center, which serves over 1,100 youth annually, was improved. We have moved residents from dangerous conditions into safe and stable neighborhoods. Vacancy value is a critical component of our revitalization effort. This comprehensive program is spurring growth and reinvestment in Baltimore City, building vital living spaces, creating a sense of place in more than 200 unique neighborhoods. We're stabilizing communities, building strong and a prosperous future for many of our neighborhoods. Park Heights is critical, and it is in a critical geographic focus area for vacancy value. For more than 50 years, this area has played a central role in Baltimore's history. The revitalization of this area is one of my top priorities. Since my earliest days on the city council, I knew that we needed to do more for Park Heights. We're moving forward with the clearance of more than 62 acres, a major redevelopment area in Central Park Heights, paving the way for new housing, open space, public facilities, and commercial uses. Families who have endured decades of life on these blighted blocks are now living or soon will live in new homes and stable communities. The demolition of numerous vacant buildings across several blocks on Park Heights Avenue began last December. These demolitions will continue through 2016, but there's more work to be done. Today, I am announcing the next phase of realizing the Park Heights Master Plan. We are seeking statements of qualifications through a request for qualification or RFQ process from interested development teams to act as master developer for the Park Heights major redevelopment area. The RFQ was released this week. One of the main goals of the redevelopment is to create a distinctive mixed-income, mixed-use neighborhood and a sense of place that retains the area's unique and historic attributes. At the same time, we're seeking to build a nationally recognized new community that retains an urban feel and is characterized by pedestrian scale, moderate density, accessibility, and connectivity. Transit-oriented, we want public spaces and useful amenities. Recognizing the development potential that exists, the City of Baltimore is making a 49-acre site available to qualified development teams as well. These teams need to possess significant experience in mixed-use urban revitalization initiatives, have demonstrated a record of creating jobs and building career pipelines, as well as building community partnerships that support and strengthen local programs. We want to make sure that we support entrepreneurial endeavors and minority and women-owned businesses, and that the participants have participated in successful public-private partnerships, including financial ventures, attracting additional interest and investment. We want to make sure that we're leveraging all of the resources that we're spending. Proposals are due no later than May 27, 2016, and detailed information is available at baltimorehousing.org. And I'm certain that everyone here looks forward to seeing the different visions and plans for the 49-acre site. We are celebrating a milestone today. Together, we're moving Park Heights and the city forward, and I'd like to thank both Park Heights Renaissance and my housing team for all of their hard work, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Graziano.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, good morning, everyone, and this is what the RFQ looks like. You can get copies off our website. It has detailed information. Some of the criteria that the mayor mentioned are specifically articulated there. There's scoring criteria. There's a time frame for the entire solicitation and review process and selection process. The mayor mentioned May 27th is the proposal deadline. March 21st, there will be a pre-proposal conference and all interested developers are urged to be there for that conference. And there's a series of review sessions and community presentations and so forth. But that's all articulated in the document that you can get at baltimorehousing.org. Also, Tanya will be distributing here. This is a document, a report, a progress report from last year that the mayor and I put together for Park Heights. It gives you some good background on the activities that have already been undertaken. The mayor mentioned a couple $100 million of investment, 180 million of that since 2010, and many of those projects are articulated here. But it gives you a good sense of the overall plan and so forth. And this document will also be provided to the developers to give them some background. I'd like to thank a number of people, obviously starting with the mayor, for her commitment to this project. It's been tremendously important to her, and therefore we have made it a priority. I know that Councilwoman Sharon Green Middleton is not able to be here today, but Robert Ginyard from her office is representing her. I want to thank the Councilwoman. She's been a tremendous supporter through this period of many years. I do want to indicate that I know the mayor said the plan was adopted in 2006. There are some very good reasons why we're here today. That's a long period of time. We will, shortly after the plan was adopted and released, we had the worst recession in whatever, since the Great Depression. So obviously we had to get through that period of time in order to get to a point where it would even be feasible to be thinking about major reinvestment. We also needed to get some revenues in a significant way to jumpstart this. I want to thank the delegation for their support in Annapolis for the slots revenue and the ability for us to use that to jumpstart the site assembly work for the major redevelopment area, which is a total of 62 acres. Deputy Commissioner Julie Day and her team have been working at this for several years. Our site assembly is a very important process. We literally needed to get site control of each of the parcels. We had to do relocation in a very sensitive way. 62 households were relocated from that area. Each of them was dealt with personally, one-on-one. And I think we can say that everybody has been very pleased with the outcomes. People moved from houses that were in kind of very, very deteriorated blocks to new homes and very stable blocks and stable areas. So that has been a process that we didn't want to rush through. And the slots revenue, as I said, has been growing over time. So now we've got a volume of cash flow there to make that happen. I also want to thank the mayor for really advancing money in anticipation of the slots revenue so that we can get done over what we've already done, but we'll finish over the next year as opposed to dragging it out to 2020, 2021 for the full site assembly, which was what would be required if we just tied it to the slots cash flow. So there's a lot of pieces there, but we are now in earnest looking for a master developer for at least 49 acres. We'll be continuing to assemble another 13, and we're looking specifically for each of the development teams that come in to talk about their thoughts about the additional 13 acres, but one way or another we're going to be acquiring most, if not all, of that additional 13. We've worked very closely with the community. I mentioned the councilwoman, but also Park Heights Renaissance, and Cheo Hurley is here. I know we'll want to hear from him in a minute. Also the Pimlico Community Development Administration, which was set up by the state legislature to oversee the slots revenues coming into the city, and is a very important partner. I'd like to, in addition to Julie, thank Deputy Commissioner Braverman and his folks who oversaw demolition, Peggy Webster from the Development Office, Kim Washington, my Chief of Staff, and others. This is the beginning of a new chapter, and a very important chapter. There's a tremendous lead time, as we've described, in terms of getting community consensus around the vision for the future of this wonderful historic community. There's a lead time in terms of assembling sites and sensitively dealing with relocation. There's a lead time in terms of marshaling all our resources to do some of the preliminary work. As mentioned, $180 million worth of work. The Department of Transportation, the Department of Public Works, between them, have spent close to $100 million in the area over since 2010. The mayor mentioned the Ripken Field and the C.C. Jackson enhancements through recreation and parks. And in the housing area, we have three major development efforts, including the Monte Verde, which is 301 units that were fully renovated, got rehabbed, close to $30 million. Renaissance Gardens is a $9 million project for 60 units of senior housing. And this was on the site of the Pall Mall Apartments, otherwise known infamously as the Ranch, where they had a shootout many years ago on Christmas Eve and a murder situation. It's just a horrendous place. It's been replaced with a beautiful senior community. And then Restoration Gardens, close to $6 million for 42 units for homeless youth. And so there's been a lot of activity already in terms of down payment on the future, but this is really bringing in the master developers is hugely important to that process. I'm going to end my comments there. I urge you to, Tanya will give you a copy of this, urge you to take a look at it and to look online for the RFQ rather. And then I'm going to ask Cheo if he'd like to say a couple words.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I am Cheo Hurley. I am the Executive Director of Park Heights Renaissance. And on behalf of the 30,000 residents of Park Heights, our board and our staff, I just want to really say thank you to Mayor Rawlings-Blake for really supporting us moving forward and trying to make Park Heights a better community. I want to say thank you to Commissioner Graziano and Julie Day for all the work that they've done in Park Heights and making sure that we assemble the parcels, and we've been going through the demolition and really working with the community to make sure that everyone in the community has the message that Baltimore and the city government is behind what's happening in Park Heights. I want to thank Councilwoman Middleton, and she's not here, but we did talk before I came down this morning. She has been a champion of Park Heights like no other. We talk every week, and she's the boots on the ground. She makes sure things happen, and she really works with the community to make sure that we know what's going on, we push the agenda, and when things get stalled a little bit, we make sure that everyone knows when it's really going to happen. And today is one of those days, a day of fruition, when we see that master developers will want to come in. There's going to be major development, millions and millions of dollars being invested into Park Heights. Our state delegation has been very, very helpful. They're the ones at the state level who make sure we get the money from slots and continue to get the money from slots. And so I want to thank you all for supporting me, for supporting the organization, and most importantly, for supporting the community. This community is a community of need, and we've been waiting a long time, and I look forward to the progress. Thank you.
We'll open it up for questions about this project, and then I'll open it up for general questions.
Do you have interest from commercial entities to locate in this site on the?
We have, oh, I'm sorry, identifying. There is interest by commercial entities. I should point out there is a major commercial node just to the immediately south of the major redevelopment area. For a variety of reasons, it's not included in the area that we've assembled, but we hope and expect that any master developer would work with the owners of the retail, which is just to the south of it on Park Heights Avenue, and that would be integrated. We would also expect there to be some smaller scale neighborhood retail interspersed within the 49 to 62 acres. But I think the major commercial activity we would expect would be building upon the retail node that's just to the south.
A lot of the really successful redevelopment in the city lately has been around anchor institutions. Hopkins on the east side, potentially Fort Covington, around Under Armour. Are there anchor institutions or major pillars that you want to highlight here?
Definitely. Sinai has been a great participant in this process over the years, and they are a very strong anchor. That's why we're focused on them as partners as we do this redevelopment, because we see them as a potential source for future residents. It was not uncommon years ago that people that worked in the hospital at all levels lived in that community. So we're hoping to create as I said, mixed income, mixed use neighborhood that will allow that to happen again.
How does the racetrack figure into the long-term plan? That's a huge piece of property.
Yeah. Who wants
We were, I think, very thoughtful but also very pragmatic about what we could deliver immediately. So I mentioned we left out the retail node to the south, but we expect that the developer will work closely with them. I could say the same thing about the racetrack site. What we're doing with this new master developer will address what's called the major redevelopment area, which is 62 acres. Eliminating the blight there. We've gotten rid of a lot of it just through the demolition we've already done, but we'll complete that and then see new investment. Whatever we do, if there is a plan down the road, and obviously none of us know the answer yet, whatever was to happen on the racetrack site, this only strengthens whatever proposals might occur to the north.
Is there an active conversation that's going on that involves the city of Baltimore?
We've had some discussions off and on, but I think that the point is we didn't want to hold up this process and this development opportunity as things were sorted out with the racetrack. There are a lot of pieces there, but this 62 acres is an area that can be developed unto itself and will make a huge, huge difference if something later on is available at the racetrack or there's some activity that it would be an adjunct to this and it would be fine, you know. Mayor, if you wanted to.
No, I just want to say that part of the master planning for that entire community over the years has been a process where the community has sat down with housing, sat down with planning, and envisioned what was possible for the racetrack. If it continues to be a racetrack, if there's something else, like the community has had that visioning session. So the work that we're doing on this plan, this offering that we're talking about today, is a complement to whatever happens. We hope that it will be, as it is, a thriving racetrack and an anchor, in a historical anchor in the community. But whatever we are doing, it will complement what the community has already said that they want to see there.
10 years from now, what do you want Park Heights to look like?
I want Park Heights to look like a vibrant, beautiful, mixed income, mixed use neighborhood. I want it to be a neighborhood of choice in Baltimore City. I want there to be valuable green space there so communities can where people feel like they want to raise their children in a safe community. And I think that we are well on our way to getting there.
Mayor, it came out, yesterday there was some discussion, and Mike Gill mentioned potential convention center expansion. I think the numbers that we had reported were 600 million, potentially doubling the size of that convention center. What's your understanding of where the convention stands right now?
I know that the state has been, we've been in conversation with the state and the convention center about the potential for expansion. I believe that there's money in the budget for a study, to revisit the study of a potential expansion. We know that in order for Baltimore to continue to be competitive in the meeting and convention business, we have to have a competitive venue, which means that we need to plan for its expansion. So I welcome those conversations.
I think the size that was mentioned was roughly doubling the square footage. Do you think that that's a reasonable size given the current tourism climate in the city, tourism industry as we've seen in the last
The tourism climate is strong in Baltimore. It's one out of the industries that were able to withstand the harshness of the recession. Our tourism industry remained strong during that time. I think it makes sense to grow from strength. We've seen that there's a strength here. Meeting planners like Baltimore. They like the Inner Harbor. They like the walkability of our city. They like the fact that there's so many amenities for not just the convention goer, but also families when they choose Baltimore as a destination. So by increasing the footprint of the convention center to allow us to continue to be competitive, it makes sense. So as far as the size, my hope is that the size will keep us competitive for years to come.
One last thing on this, a hotel will be part of the plan, as I understand it, or will be part of the study. There's obviously a city hotel that's a block or two away. Do you see that as a potential competitor?
I think every hotel, in a certain price point is a competitor with every other one. Doesn't make it a bad thing. When we know that, business begets business. So if we continue to have a thriving convention and meeting business, we're going to fill up all the hotels. So the goal isn't to restrict the number of hotel rooms. The goal is to grow our economy around a strong industry in Baltimore.
There was a hole in the Hanover Street Bridge last night during rush hour, and the city approved the study to way whether to replace it or to repair it. Is there any concern that something much worse, similar to what happened in Minneapolis 9 years ago now, will happen during the course of this study, where you just lose an entire bridge because of the disrepair it's been suffering?
So I've been sounding the alarm about infrastructure needs in Baltimore and around the country since I became mayor. I've been very clear that our country has a significant deficit when it comes to investment in infrastructure. Minneapolis is just one example. We can go around the country. The infrastructure challenges today are marked not just by the hole in the Hanover Street Bridge, but also by what's going on with Flint and the water infrastructure. We are fighting in Baltimore and all over the country. Mayors are fighting to increase, to be able to leverage the resources that we have to get more out of those dollars so we can make repairs so we don't have to close bridges. But the concerns that you raise are real. And they're real not because we don't have a desire to maintain our infrastructure. The concerns are real because of the lack of significant funding. Whether it's water infrastructure or roads, when the costs to repair, to rebuild, and to build new are borne only by, in water, the ratepayers, and with the road infrastructure and bridge infrastructure, the taxpayers. Cities are confined by the wealth of the people that they serve. And if you have, when that is a consistent calculation across the country, you see that we're headed for disaster when it comes to being able to support real infrastructure improvements.
Is there a heightened sense of urgency or some type of attention now that we're starting to see this 4-year period and the bridge is starting, seemingly starting to crumble. I'm not going to assume that it's going to fall down today, obviously, but is there some type of heightened urgency based
There's
on?
urgency on that bridge and the many others throughout the city that might not may not have as high profile, but certainly are in equal condition or worse. Again, that is why I've focused a lot of attention on the need to increase infrastructure spending and support from our federal partners, because if it doesn't, if infrastructure repairs, improvements, investments are only going to be funded through ratepayers and taxpayers, Baltimore, as well as cities across the country, will continue to be in dire straits when it comes to being able to keep pace with the amount of repairs, particularly old cities. And I will say that part of my platform as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors includes asking the presidential candidates what their plan is for this type of infrastructure investment. There was a time in our country where Democrats, Republican, it didn't matter. Infrastructure investments represented the investments that will keep our country competitive and keep our country in a position to move forward. Now, far too often, these investments are considered pork, and the level of investment, significant and strategic investment from our federal partners has been diminished. That's coming at the same time when unfunded mandates for particularly our water infrastructure and wastewater infrastructure have increased the cost. This is a friction that is a problem in Baltimore and throughout the country, and it's certainly not lost on me the need for urgency around this issue, and I've been a national advocate on that.
You do have a presidential candidate interested in building a wall if you wanted.
On the question of the bridge, any potential for leveraging the Port Covington development to find funding for bridge repairs?
I think it's too early to say.
Madam Mayor, would you care to comment on the DPW shooting suspect being found dead in his cell?
This is a tragic situation all around. The concerns around workplace violence, Baltimore is not immune to those concerns. To have someone allegedly walk into their job and open fire, killing someone in such a violent way is horrific. And I know that I share the concerns of the DPW director, Rudy Chow, that we're making sure that those employees are getting the support that they need to deal with such a tragedy. And the situation was made even worse now that that group of workers are now dealing with the loss of two of their co-workers. Like I said, it is a tragedy all the way around, and we're focusing on healing and also making sure that we do everything we can to try to prevent something like this from happening in the future.
Do you have any idea what caused his death? Have you been informed by the police?
I have some information. I don't believe that it is public yet.
Madam
Mayor,
Mayor,
in terms of the case involving now the two school police officers who've been charged criminally overnight, in both cases, they had allegations raised against them in the past, 3, 4, 5 years ago, in domestic situation. Well, second-degree assault. One was clearly a domestic violence situation. Do you have concerns about what is going on in that particular policing agency as it relates to recruitment, training, retention, internal investigation, et cetera, based on what has surfaced in this case?
I think anyone that looks at what happened with these two officers and doesn't see it as a red flag and a concern is tone deaf. I think that it raises significant concerns that I believe that the school CEO and the board, I have faith that they are working to address it. I don't think that in any organization of that size that, there's, no matter where you go, there's an opportunity for somebody to be messing up somewhere. So it's not for me that somebody, does something wrong. It's what you do about it. And I have faith that they're going to do everything that they can to correct this problem, this lapse, and put systems in place to help ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. And they're able to track in a way that is more predictive about the individuals that they have working in the schools.
Madam Mayor, the city has paid the Gray family about half of the settlement money so far. Has the settlement brought about the sense of closure to the family and closure to the city that you hoped it would?
I think it's too early to say.
Is that just because with the trial still pending?
Yeah.
Any idea on the size of the TIF that Port Covington made a request?
I know that information will be made public later today. I can say that I was excited about the scale of this project in the sense that it will clearly, if realized, represent an over $5 billion investment and development project. It has the potential to be a catalytic project that will create not just new neighborhoods, but new jobs and new opportunities for Baltimore residents. I think this is one of these defining moments in Baltimore's history where we are a witness to a major transformation. As I said, I'm aware that the developer is making a presentation at BDC later this morning and laying out the request for public support of this project. And I also know that there will be, as excited as I am about the project, I know that there will be a very rigorous process set out by the BDC and the Board of Finance to make a determination and a recommendation about whether or not that request for public support should be approved.
Does the city have, how much room does the city have under current debt limits to finance additional TIFs?
I certainly can get that information to you. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, but it's not maxed out. Do we know that for sure?
I can get that information to you. I don't have it off the top of my head. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.